My heart just breaks for pets, dogs and cats. Tremble with fear because of all those loud crashes they can't possibly understand. Well, you know, the annual ritual of fireworks in our country, celebrates independence. I'm all for that. But it takes a toll on a lot of pets. And some of them are just a little bit freaked out and hide and stick to their people. And others just lose their minds. And some of them actually escape the yard. Some of them just hurt themselves. And thank you, Carolyn. And they can be really, really, it's really damaging to them. Well, we can get through this thing, but you have to be prepared, and we'll make life easier for everybody. Does anybody here have a pet who's really got a problem with this? Put it in the comment line, please. Give me the details, and let's talk about this. There are some great ways of helping these pets, but the best results come with custom fitting the solution for everybody. And by the way, in case we haven't met, I'm veterinarian Dr. Jeff Nickel. Whoa, Tony T. I practiced general medicine for many, many years, and then I did a residency in veterinary behavior medicine. And since specializing, that's what I do. And these pets who are panicked, we can help, believe me. So, by the way, if you can hear me loud and clear, would you send me some hearts or put something in the comment line? Because we've had problems with technical difficulties where people can see these Facebook Lives, but they can't hear me. So let me know that you can hear what I'm talking about here. This, by the way, is Gaston. Oh, there are some hearts. Wonderful. Thank you. And here's Tony. You can see him right here. Our family, as you probably know, is dogless right now. And at some point we will get a dog. But I'll tell you what, this grieving process, we feel like we have to get through it. Some folks can go out and replace a pet immediately. We just don't have that.
And that's okay.
So, yeah, and that's okay. That's right. So anyway, we have two cats. We have Gaston here and Tony, who might cycle through pretty soon. Gaston, are you leaving? Okay, see you later. Tony, would you like to come in my lap, little guy? Well, you can come here. Come on, baby. That's a good boy. There you go. Okay. Having pets is pretty good either way. So I wanted to share a column I put in the newspaper last week, and because I got a question from actually a person who's a client of mine. She has a dog and a cat who we've been able to help both of them feel better. A big part of what we were doing with that was helping her dog Buddy not, kind of bully her cat Katie. And Katie was being afraid, and anyway, they're doing much better. So thank you for that. And also we have, oh look, Cindy is here, wonderful, and Charlotte. Well, thank you for coming. Charlotte, where are you from? Remind me. I love it when people tune in from other places. I also love it when they tune in from Albuquerque. And by the way, we're in our backyard today. I think that's obvious. It just wasn't as much fun sitting in my office upstairs. So here we are in the yard. And we have a fan blowing, and I'm feeling pretty good, and I think Tony's enjoying this as well. So anyway, this came from my client, and she said, I feel bad for the dogs of homeless people during these really hot summer months as their owners beg for food on street corners. They're actually begging for money. Just today, I saw a man begging while his dog was next to him under a small tent. Well, when it gets in the 90s and 100s, that small tent is useless. These animals really suffer. And she's right. So, got me to thinking. And I responded, well, I too have worried about people and their dogs who are exposed to our scorching sun. I've treated many cases of heat stroke in my years in emergency medicine. And these are tough cases because we get some of them through it, and some of them we don't get our hands on them early enough. And boy, talk about a heartbreaker. Well, the city of Albuquerque is taking steps to improve life for homeless people, the ones who struggle to get by. And it's easy to be judgmental. I mean, we all know some of these people could get employment, but there are some of them who have got the severe disease of drug addiction, and that's extremely hard for some people. And in fact, others are mentally ill. And, they do need our help, and their pets certainly do too. And I know that if people are in that kind of condition and they have a pet in their life, that pet might have even greater value than pets for you and me. So I'm a believer in trying to help those folks out. And so what I say is, why don't we do this? I went on the internet and I was able to find these collapsible They're silicone plastic bowls like this. Got a little carabiner. You can hang it from a backpack or a belt, or you can flatten it out like this. And so I got some of these. I got a 6-pack for $12. That's pretty cheap. And then carry some water bottles in my car. So now when I see those folks, I roll down my window and give them a bowl and a bottle of water. And in fact, just yesterday, when I was on my way to the emergency and specialty hospital, there was a couple there who looked really rough, and I gave them a few bucks because, gee, they're in bad shape, some of them. So then I got an email from Christina Jones, and Christina says, I just hit some of the cheaper thrift stores for bowls. Now, I hope, it's not like hitting a bank or a filling station. She, went in there and checked them out. They had bowls, and she bought, I buy the gallon-size waters for them, which I think makes sense. Small bags of dog food, tortillas, as they don't mold, and peanut butter, and things that hold up in the heat or cold. That is kindness, and that's empathy too, because I make a pretty decent living, and most of us, we can buy our own groceries and make our mortgage payment or our rent, but these folks, it's literally hand to mouth for them, and so if they get food like this, that's really nice. And Christina, thank you. And it just kind of got my wheels turning. So I'm really delighted that there are people who are willing to kind of think outside the box and not just give money, because that doesn't always serve the right purposes. So let's talk about this business of fireworks and pets who are scared to death. Well, the dog, thank you for those hearts. And look, OJ is here. I'm sorry to hear about Miss America. You're sending love. You are so kind. People have been so generous with their condolences and their support, and it really makes a difference. So thank you for that, and thank you for those hearts. And Charlene is here from Colorado. Centennial, I know where that is, and Cotopaxi, I don't know where that is. And Cindy, excellent, I'm glad you're here too. So before Miss America, we had another wonderful border collie. We got this thing for border collies, and his name was Peter Rabbit. And of course, Peter Rabbit, we actually picked him out from a litter, and it was Easter Sunday. And our two sons were little guys then, and it had to be something rabbit related. So of course he got named Peter Rabbit because we read that story to them. Well, Peter Rabbit was a wonderful dog, and he had storm phobia, and also had separation anxiety, which commonly go together. These tend to be genetically driven behaviors that, would you like to come back up here, Tony T? Tony? He's sitting on the floor. These people really want to look at you. Come on up here. Come here, you character. That's all right. Well, come on up here. There you go. Good boy. And so there's a lot of influences on behaviors, healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors as well. But there have been some good studies that show that a great number of separation anxiety cases are genetically programmed, and so are dogs with fear of loud noises. And in fact, there is an apparent link genetically where they actually share the same, they're on the same chain of genes on the chromosome. So don't feel bad if your dog has this thing. And Miss America had it pretty bad as well. And so here we were a year or two ago, Carolyn, a couple years maybe, and we decided to go up to Pagosa Springs, which we really love because we like to ski at Wolf Creek in the winter, and we hang out there and hike in the summertime sometimes. And we got a condo, which we shared with our two adult sons and the two excellent women in their lives and their dogs and Miss America. So we had all these people, and we cooked and had a great time. And here we were there on the evening of July 4th, and the condo was right on the river. I mean, it was just beautiful. And we expected that we would encounter fireworks, and so I brought some Cilio, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. I've shown this product before, and it is really a lifesaver. So I had it with me for Miss America and the other dogs in our group, and I had plenty of it because, I was prepared. I was a scout, and I know these things. Well, so here come the fireworks. Well, they weren't just in the distance. These folks in the same condo, on the big lawn right in front of our condo, second story, we're doing really loud fireworks like right there. And somebody just checked in here. And, oh, Martha, wonderful. I'm glad you're, and Richard, thank you for coming again. So these fireworks were extremely loud. And Miss America was really, really freaked out, and they came on faster than I expected this to happen. So I got the Cilio into her immediately, and I'm going to show how to give this in a few minutes. But let me turn the camera around here so you can actually see it. This is a prescription medication, okay? Sileo. And dexmedetomidine, which is the anti-anxiety medication in that, is actually a very low dose. At a much higher dose, it's been used for years as a sedative, and not just in pets, but in humans too. And it's one of those interesting medications that at a higher dose, it has a function as a sedative, and at a different lower dose in this case, it functions as a anti-anxiety. And the beauty of it is that it comes in a gel, and it's not given by injection, but it's given between the lower lip and the gum. Well, there are other as-needed anti-anxiety medications like trazodone and medications in the benzodiazepine family like Valium or lorazepam or Xanax, and they can be helpful, but they don't do a lot to help unless they're given prior to the anxiety-provoking event. In this case, fireworks. Okay. Well, Cilio, you can give it before, and it's ideal that way. But in the case where the fireworks are already happening, or the thunderstorms, you can give it during the event, and it will still make a significant difference 20 minutes later, which feels like an eternity at the time. But most of the oral medications, you have to wait at least 45 minutes, as long as 2 hours. And again, those things aren't that great if the problem is already underway. But with the Cilio, you can do it immediately. Well, the stuff comes in this syringe, and let me show you carefully, right up close here. There's this little green wheel on the plunger, and you see these little dots on the plunger? Well, that's how it's measured. And we don't measure it in milligrams per pound or kilogram. It is actually dosed according to the body surface area, which you measure in meters squared. Now, we don't try to measure our pet's body surface area. There are conversion charts that you can take their weight in pounds or kilograms and convert. But you don't have to do that, because in the box, the Cilio box, comes a chart. And your veterinarian, who is the only way to get this, by the way, is to have it dispensed by your veterinarian, will give you the dose in the number of dots. Okay? So, for example, if I were going to give a dog 3 dots, what I'm going to do is back off this little green wheel and slide it along the plunger and expose 3 dots. And then I'm going to turn the wheel about a quarter turn, and that locks it in place. Okay? So then what we do is we pop the cap off, and again, you see it's just a blunt plastic tube there, and you can see the remnants of a little bit of peanut butter. So why is there peanut butter on this thing? Well, I thought you'd never ask. It's very easy to say, all right, I'm going to give this to my dog, and you go for your dog, and you grab that little rascal gently, right? And you say, now come here, I'm going to give this to you, and you try to shove this into their mouth, and it is not swallowed. If the dog swallows it, it goes down into the stomach and the intestines, and the digestive enzymes break it down, and it does nothing. Okay? No harm, but there's no benefit either. The only way it can work is it's absorbed across mucous membranes. Now, you could give it up the nose. That's not going to work very well for anybody. So you give it between the lower lip and the gum. And there's a little pocket way back in there. If you try to stick your tongue next to your lower last tooth, you can't get it far enough into that little pocket that's there. We're going to use that to our advantage. But we don't want to scare our dog, because if they get scared by, you trying to push this thing into their mouth, then the next time you try to give it, they might go, oh, no, no, no. And you've got a dog who's already scared by the fireworks or the thunderstorm, and now you've scared it again. And you can make this mistake very easily with a dog who loves and trusts you. Okay? So we don't need to go down that path. what I want you to do is get a hold of this from your veterinarian. And I know that the fireworks are already starting, so contact your veterinarian, and I hope that your dog has been examined in the last 12 months. And if she or he has, your doctor can dispense it. Now, if the veterinarian does not have it on hand, it can be ordered, all right? And there are online pharmacies that have it as well, but they have to ship it. But most veterinary distributors that your veterinarian orders medications and other supplies from can get it out in a day or two, okay? Now, of course, I have plenty of it, and anybody who's watching this whose pet I have examined in the last 12 months, all you got to do is call my office, and I can have it ready for you, because I don't have to examine the pet that day. Anytime in the last 12 months, it's perfectly legitimate, okay? So, smear the peanut butter on the end of the syringe, and you squat down on the floor, and you hold it out in front of you, and you say to your dog, whatever your dog's name is, Poopsie, Roger, Bob, Jimmy. Yeah, people use lots of names, including Miss America, and invite that dog to come to the syringe and lick the peanut butter. And the dog says, oh, that's pretty good. So you take it away for a minute, and you hold it back out again, and then the dog is invited to come again. And you can repeat this. Take it away and bring it back out, so you get several repetitions in just a few minutes. You can do this a few times a day, and it won't take long before your dog says, I see that syringe, and my mouth is watering. Thank you very much. Okay? So when you really want to give it, you can have a little peanut butter smeared on it. And when the dog comes and, licking it, you can be sliding it back into the corner of the mouth, back next to the last tooth. You can push it just a little further in there gently. It's not sharp, it's soft. And then you've already measured the dose according to the dots on the syringe. And when you push the plunger and deposit that blob of gel back there, this wheel stops the plunger and you give exactly the amount you want. Now, there is a way of making a mistake with this thing, and let me show you that. If you say, all right, I'm going to give 3 dots, and I have the wheel in place, but the wheel isn't locked, for example, if the wheel is sliding loose and I have it on the 3-dot position, but it's not locked, then when I push the plunger, I can keep pushing the plunger and give a full syringe worth. What happens then? Well, don't forget, it's a small anti-anxiety dose. And unless you have a teeny tiny dog, a great deal more of it is probably going to give you sedation. But you really don't need that, okay? So how do you make sure that it's locked in position? Well, when you put it where you want it, at the 3-dot mark in this example, and you're holding the barrel of the syringe and you turn it, well, it'll keep turning the plunger and it's really not locked at all, okay? So the trick is, if I want to give 3 dots, I expose 3 dots, and then I hold the plunger of the syringe like this, and then I turn the wheel, and then I check it and make sure it's really locked, okay? And then you do it. So I don't have a dog to show you, but what I'm going to post on my Facebook page when we're done here is a video that I made, I think, last year, maybe the year before, anyway. And it's about fireworks, thunderstorms, it's all the same problem. And I show how to give it, and I gave it to Miss America, okay? I actually pretended to give it because she didn't need it at that moment. But if you don't mind me doing my dog imitation, here's the way it's done. You put it back in here like this, all the way back to where the syringe stops, and then you push the plunger. Now, of course, I'm not going to give it to myself because, I don't have a problem with fireworks. I don't think it ought to be given to people for that because it's only approved for use in dogs. Now, veterinarians sometimes use medications off-label, and what that means is that we use it for a different species sometimes. As long as there are good research behind it, it doesn't have to be FDA approved as long as we tell our client. So cats, if they have fear of thunderstorms, which this little gray fellow does, then you can give him 1 dot of Cilio, okay, between the lower lip and the gum. It doesn't have any taste that bothers them, and you can just give it to them, and in 20 minutes, it works well. It's important to keep their head up because the heat of the body liquefies it, and if their face is down, of course, it can dribble out onto the floor, and you're not getting anything done. And you can hold their nose up, close their mouth, so their tongue can't get in there. and gently just pet them and kiss them and hold their nose up. Doesn't have to be straight up, just kind of up at an angle for about 2 minutes, and it'll work fine. Okay? So again, it's not the only treatment. And one last little secret that you can use, and back to the story of Miss America in Pagosa Springs, this was really horrible. And we wrapped her up in a little blanket, and she sat with one of my sons, and he just held her, and she gradually did better. But at about 25 or 30 minutes, she was significantly less anxious, but she was still pretty upset. So I gave her a second dose. And that's not on the label, it's not in the insert, and you can do that with safety. You can give a second dose. And with Miss America, in other situations like the next night, I simply gave her a double dose right from the get-go, and she was better quickly. Okay? So these things are helpful. And in some cases, if your veterinarian feels that your dog also needs other medications like lorazepam or alprazolam, which is Xanax, or Valium, or Trazodone. Those are oral medications. Those can be given with the Cilio. We can use these combinations safely. And you know, we need to do whatever it takes to reduce or eliminate suffering. And these pets are suffering. Now, what else can we do? Well, pets typically want to hide out. They're denning creatures, cats and dogs are. And so if there is a closet, furniture your dog wants to get under, wherever your dog chooses to feel safest, thank you for the heart. Your dog or cat needs to be able to make the choice. Don't make it for them. And in that room, draw the shades. A noisy fan can matter. You know, the old-fashioned fans instead of these tower ones that make a lot of racket are best. There is music that has been scientifically developed to promote more calming alpha waves. This is a CD of one that is made for cats called Through a Cat's Ear. They also have Through a Dog's Ear. You can order these things online, of course, and they can send you the CD, or you can download the music onto your computer. It helps them feel much better. It's very pleasant sounding. It's kind of classical type music. And playing it louder, you do what's best for the pet. So if low volume helps the pet feel better, do that. If louder, to help drown out the sound of the fireworks or, the thunder, then do that. Loud fans, white noise, you can experiment with all of it. And there are some pets who do better with one thing or another. So, let's see. Anybody else have a question here? You're welcome to ask me.
Kevin just showed up.
Oh, Kevin. Bryant. Oh, Kevin. I've been emailing Kevin today. Oh, he hasn't shown up here quite yet. Geez, I hope Scout is doing better. Scout has been sick. So, Adaptol, pheromone diffuser. You can get those online. People are hoping very often when they get these, they go, okay, this has got a calming influence on pets, so this should do the job. With problems that are pretty severe, pets who have a really strong reaction to fireworks or thunder, very often all these things we integrate them, and between them all they make a difference. But I want to emphasize that we do what it takes, and so don't hesitate to add more stuff on there. People sometimes get a thunder shirt. There are pets that improve nicely with those. They have them for cats, but most cats, you put it on them and they flop over on their side and don't go anywhere. There are a few cats who like it. And a thunder shirt has been helpful for some dogs who have been frightened during thunderstorms. But it doesn't work for everybody. Okay? So there's no guarantee on any of this stuff. Mutt muffs, here's another one. And I don't have any of those to show you, but they look a lot like the earmuffs that people wear in cold weather. And those are very well-made product. They come in different sizes. And there's a chin strap, and they're adjustable. And when those are on a dog's head, they do a really good job of reducing sound. And I am a big believer in that. So mutt muffs are a great thing. And so, if you miss the opportunity to have all these things available for your dog this time, well, most dogs who have fear of fireworks have a big problem with thunderstorms too. So, get that stuff and be prepared next time. We used to say that, Tony D, you can come back up here. We used to say that pets who are anxious, if they got a lot of attention from their person, that would actually validate the anxiety. Well, new research, easy for me to say, new research has shown that that is not the case, that you can comfort a scared pet. And so by all means do it. And with Miss America, rather than her wanting to go into a closet or under the bed, she preferred to be next to us, and she was more comfortable very clearly under a little blanket. So that's what we did for her. And we gave her plenty of Cilio, sorry.
Kevin
And she found
updated
this.
you on
Oh, okay, Kevin. Oh, Scout is spending the night at VESC under the care of Dr. Well, I can't.
Hale.
Hale, good. Dr. Why am I not being able to
Well,
pull
it's
that? Oh,
full.
Dr. Hale, it's on the sound. Thank you, Kevin. Dr. Hale is so conscientious. I've worked with her for years, and she is a specialist in internal medicine. You are exactly in the right hands with her. A couple weeks ago, when Miss America went downhill, it was a Sunday, and Dr. Hale came in on her time off. And she did the high-end ultrasound and made the diagnosis and was ready to put treatment into place. The problem was advancing so fast we couldn't catch up. But I have seen this lady perform miracles, and so I am so glad that that's where you took Scout. I couldn't recommend her more highly, and as much as she won't be there overnight, our emergency doctors will, and this thing is going to go as well as it possibly can. I really like Scout, and I have every confidence that things are going to go fine. So you've made the right move. So delighted, and thanks for checking in here. Let's see, comforting. So next week, Facebook Live. We're going to do it at 6. Last time I said 5. It's really 6. And next time we're going to do it on cats and dogs who play too rough and end up fighting with each other,
And are we
with their
having
people.
kittens?
Yes, and we're going to have kittens next time too. That's right. We have one of our sons adopted a couple of kittens. His significant other is a veterinarian, actually, who used to work with me at Veterinary Emergency and Specialty. And she practices now at Petroglyph Animal Hospital. Tony T., you want to come back? We're almost done here.
O.J. Sanders has a question.
Oh, good. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, we're going to have these kittens. They were one of those sad stories that ended up doing so well. These little guys were about 6 weeks old when they were found, and one of them had a fractured femur, a thigh bone, and the other had a fractured back. The one with the broken leg actually ended up doing very nicely, but and the other one has got some permanent disabilities, but has learned to adapt. They've been to the veterinary physical therapy doctor, and they're building structures around the house with ramps, and these two kittens are doing great. And so I get to borrow those next Thursday, right? So I have another question here. OJ, I have a very excitable large dog that will need some sort of medication before her next veterinary visit. Her veterinarian is Dr. Meridian in Santa Fe, and she's mobile, so that helps my dog Guinness. You have a medication you would prefer under these circumstances. I know you've written some meds, you don't recommend. Thank you for that, actually. You reminded me. There is an old-fashioned tranquilizer called ACE promazine, often just referred to as ACE, and it's been used for a long time. Here's the problem with ACE. It is a tranquilizer. It has essentially no anti-anxiety properties. And the takeaway of that is that if you have a pet who is really scared, they are still scared, even though they're hardly able to move. And so they get worse because they can't act out their fear. And so sometimes if you give a dog ACE before a veterinary visit when it's scared anyway, or fireworks, they can actually get worse. So forget ACE, okay? A recent study, and I don't have it right in front of me, showed another off-label use for Cilio. And what we found was that, remember how I mentioned that most of these as-needed anti-anxiety medications need to be given before the fear-provoking event? Well, Cilio doesn't have to be given that way. And this study involved dogs who were afraid in the veterinary clinic, not the ones who are so defensive-aggressive that you can't go near them. We get some who are that severe, and we have good ways of helping them without stress. Different subject, though. Maybe we should talk about that sometime. Anyway.
Petra Swartz is my...
Oh, Petra. Oh, thank you. Gosh, Petra's here, too. That's wonderful. Petra has a dog she's done a wonderful job with in helping that dog. It would react toward visitors. Anyway, that dog's much better. But this study involved Cilio, off-label, for dogs who were afraid in the veterinary clinic. These were dogs who would be trembling and nervous, and their ears are back, their tails are low, their posture is low, they're licking their lips pretty often, yawning often scanning, hypervigilant, looking for the scary monster. And we can still handle those pets, but hey, our job is really to reduce stress, not just make a diagnosis and treat sick pets. Well, Cilio worked out real well for them. So these were pets who came in and they were nervous already, and the Cilio was given to the pet parent to administer to the dog, and they camped out in the exam room with their pet for 20 minutes, and then the doctor and the nurse came in and did the physical exam, gave the vaccination, whatever. And what these folks found with just an independent video observer, that the clear signs of anxiety were substantially less. And the stuff was given when the pet was already anxious, was already in the veterinary clinic. So to your question, your veterinarian needs to have some Cilio ready for you. And I would contact them, and if they don't have it on their pharmacy shelf, all veterinary supply houses have it, and it's real easy to use. And they can just dispense it to you at the time. And then what you don't use during that visit, you can take with you, bring it back the next time, or have it available during fireworks and thunderstorms. And Monica, hey, thank you. Monica's been here before. She has that little Hello Kitty symbol there, which we love that. And Shauna, Eli, and George are here. Wonderful. I'm so glad to see you guys. So thank you. Back to the Cilio or anything we're going to give our dogs. They trust us to take care of them, and they belong in our homes. Cats and dogs are domestic species. There's no question they belong with us. But they're actually genetically programmed, behaviorally, for life in the wild, where they don't have artificial barriers like windows and fences and walls, and they don't have fireworks. There are thunderstorms. But when they encounter something that scares the heck out of them, they have the option to get the heck out of the situation where they are and hide out if they need to. And so when we have them in our homes with us, we have to say, look, can I walk a mile in my pet's moccasins? What would it be like if my natural inclination, my innate behavior, was to get under something, get the heck out of the situation? How can I mitigate the problem? We're not going to sell our house and move off the grid. So what's the realistic thing we can do? Well, medications have their place. These things we're talking about are very safe. And so through a dog's ear music, or adaptive pheromone diffuser, noisy fans.
Portia was asking if there's a side effect to Cilio.
No, there isn't a side effect. How many medications do we have that don't have side effects? Now remember, this is the same thing. This is called dexmedetomidine, available by injection as a sedative, not as an anti-anxiety, used in much higher doses. And that medication is what we call a vasoconstrictor, meaning that it closes blood vessels to the peripheral areas of the body, like the skin and the muscles. And when we have a pet we've given the injectable dexmedetomidine, their gums are pale. That can look scary, but internally their organs are very good.
But that's not
But this same medication is at a very low dose that has a different effect. It has an anti-anxiety effect. But we're using a much lower dose, and we just don't see side effects with it.
people who just showed up, just remind them how it's applied.
Yeah, and okay, thank you, Carolyn. Between the lower lip and the gum, okay? And again, we don't just run up to our dog and grab them and shove it in their mouth, okay? You teach them to come to it by their choice, because it tastes like peanut butter, because that's what you put on it. You sort of way back in there, deposit that little glob, close their mouth, hold their head up. Yeah, sometimes people put their finger in, they feel like they have to rub it around on the dog's gums. You don't do that.
It absorbs through the gum.
It absorbs through the gum and the lip. And one dot, it's measured in dots on the plunger for cats, will make them relax through noisy events. Not on the label. It is totally legitimate. But yes, we feel very good about this. In fact, frankly, it's one of those medications that personally I don't believe needs to be a prescription, but it is. And so, I'm not going to break the law and dispense it to pets I've never examined, and your veterinarian shouldn't either.
Petra has a question.
Yes, Petra, where are you here? Oh, you're not. Oops. Portia is here. Petra, yes. Can you give Cilio or cetrazone to a dog that is already on gabapentin, sertraline, and clonidine, like Sunny? Right, that's Petra's dog. I was planning to give Sunny a double dose of gabapentin this weekend for fireworks. These are great questions. Gabapentin is a wonderful medication. It is, just about without question, the safest thing we use for anything. And yes, you can give Sunny the normal morning and evening doses of the gabapentin, and give an extra dose of gabapentin if you want to prior to the fireworks. And you can give, in addition to the other medications that we're using for Sunny, you can also give Cilio. You really can do this. Now, there are certainly medications that are contraindicated together, that interact badly. None of these have that problem. And yes, you can use them all. Sunny is a dog who has some, I'm getting cat hair up my nose. Sunny is a dog who has some anxiety problems. And we're using all of those medications below their levels where they would have side effects. And we're adjusting different neurotransmitters. And we can do that with a Cilio as well. So absolutely. And if you would like to pick up some Cilio, let me know. Send me an email, and I'll have it ready for you on Friday. So we can do that. Who else is here? OJ?
Sid is here.
Who's here?
Sid.
Yes, I said hello to Sid.
And Charlene.
And Charlene. Yeah, I did say hello to Charlene. And Leona's here. Well, thank you everybody for coming. And of course, this video will be available on my Facebook page, so you can recommend your friends have a look if you know people whose pets are freaked out by fireworks. And if you know somebody who wants to get these things and my weekly blog in their email box every Tuesday morning, all they have to do is subscribe to my website, drjeffnicol.com, drjeffnicol.com, and they will always get these in their inbox. And when they do subscribe at no charge, I'll send my at-home pet first aid guide, which includes CPR, which is worth printing out and having handy, because you never know. You can save a life before you can get your dog to the veterinary hospital. So, back for just a second to the Cilio. Please take the time to teach your pet that he or she can choose and have the freedom to choose, and be safe, to trust that we're not going to do anything to intimidate them. Because just like people, dogs and cats who are forced to do things by a leader who only wants their needs met, they get obstinate, and the relationship suffers. They can learn any time during their relationship with us that they can trust us not to intimidate them. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week, and we'll have some kittens. And even if you're not a cat person, you're going to like these guys. So I'll see you next week. Thanks so much.